President-elect Donald Trump's pick to lead Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is on Capitol Hill this morning. He's expected to meet with dozens of senators this week in hopes of gathering enough support to get confirmed. Now, he may face some scrutiny for past comments, though, on vaccines. So let's bring in CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion, who's joining me now from West Palm Beach, Florida, where the president-elect is expected to address the press at 11 a.m., Nikole. So what are we expecting to hear?
Well, the president-elect is holding an event around business, international finance, so we expect his remarks to center around that. But it's possible that he could take questions, of course. That is something, too, that we are very much interested in. But, of course, this comes after he hosted the widow of the late Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe at Mar-a-Lago last night, along with his wife, Melania Trump. And so it caps off a pretty busy weekend that the president-elect has had. He spent part of it in Florida, part of it this week at the Army-Navy Games. So now starting this Monday, again, with these remarks to the press a short time from now.
So he has said that he plans to speak with RFK Jr. about plans to eliminate some vaccines. Of course, that has a lot of people concerned, Nikole, as you know, including some of the comments that he's recently made about polio vaccines. Look, when I was a foreign correspondent in Africa, I recall that Nigeria, where I was based, was one of only 3 countries in the world, Nikole, Nigeria, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, that had not eliminated polio, largely because they had not been able to vaccinate the appropriate number of people. Since then, Nigeria has eliminated polio, but that is what we can expect if those vaccines go away here in the United States. So how is the president-elect dealing with that controversy?
Well, I think we have to take a step back here, and I think that is why the president-elect is saying that he intends to have a discussion with RFK Jr. about the path forward here. Transition aides say that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. isn't necessarily pushing to get rid of all vaccines, but he does want to make sure that they are effective and safe, and if some merit further review, that is kind of more where he's coming from, where the president-elect is coming from. That being said, there is some concern based on RFK Jr.'s past views and statements and some of his associates. He at times has suggested that vaccines have led to an increase in autism, which has been disproven by a number of medical experts. There is also one of his personal attorneys who filed a petition back in 2022 to revoke approval of the polio vaccine. And this is someone that he still associates with, who has reportedly been part of the transition. So from that standpoint, that is why there is some concern about, where exactly RFK Jr. kind of falls in this spectrum of views. We did actually try to ask RFK some of those very questions because he was here in Florida this weekend, but he declined to respond to our questions. But that is certainly something that could come up in these meetings that he has this week with senators, although some have expressed cautious optimism about potentially supporting his nomination. So that being said, the president-elect, again, making clear that he does want to have an ongoing discussion with RFK Jr. going forward.
All right, Nikole Killion for us this morning. Thank you, Nikole, as always.